Greetings, this is Pastor Jeff. I'm in the workroom and I'm trying to play catch up. So, this is going to be our first sermon series of the Do Unto Others. Week 1 was kindness. It was on October 6, 2024. And our teaching message came from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, verses 31 through 36. Listen in. Here is a simple rule of thumb for behavior. Ask yourself what you want people to do for you, then grab the initiative and do it for them. If you only love the lovable, do you expect a pat on the back? Run-of-the-mill sinners do that. If you only help those who help you, do you expect a medal? Garden variety sinners do that. If you only give for what you hope to get out of it, do you think that's charity? The stingiest of pawnbrokers do that. I tell you, love your enemies. Help and give without expecting a return. You'll never, I promise, regret it. Live out God's created identity the way our Father lives towards us, generously and graciously, even when we are at our worst. Our Father is kind. You be kind. The word of the Lord. So about 3 months ago, I began hearing about churches that was doing a series called Do Unto Others. There are churches that have already done it. There are churches like Bayview and me who are doing this series for the 5 weeks leading up to the election. Then there are some churches who are going to launch the series following the election and lead the series up to the Christmas season. As I was contemplating on bringing this series to our holy space, I had conversation with church council and church members, and the reactions were mixed, and I expected that to be the case. Those discussions led me into prayer, wrestling with God in a time of discernment with some of my peers and colleagues, and finally making the decision that we as a church need to do this series. So why did I feel that this series was necessary? And why did I choose the time period leading up to the election? I believe that we as a nation are becoming more and more polarized. And I'm not sure that I thought that was possible. The election cycles of 2016 and 2020 were tough, and 2024 may have caused us to become even more divided. The last 2 days, I have spent too many hours behind the wheel, and my eyes and ears saw and heard the divide way too much. It pains me. I am sure that I'm not the only person in the room, watching online, or those who will read the sermon that feel this way. So I began to think, maybe if we focused on 5 core values, that those values will help shape us as we go to the polls. Then, if you were in church last week, I shared that James shared a great vision for the church. And I think that these 5 core values can truly shape us as individuals and as churches. Over the next 5 weeks, we're going to be taking a look at kindness, compassion, humility, respect, and finally, love. So that is the overview of the series and how I came to the decision to do the series. Please understand that this decision did not come easy. I wrestled with this sermon, and I'm sure that I'm going to wrestle with the next 4 as I try to decide how much I weave or avoid in the sermons. Are you ready? The leadoff batter, his kindness. I truly believe that if we as a nation want to help reduce the American political polarization, we need to live out kindness. I truly believe that if we as a church want to be a healing church and a church where all truly are welcome, then we need to live out kindness. When I was going through my ordination journey in the ELCA, I adopted a life verse. The verse comes from the book of Micah. It is in chapter 6, verse 8, and it states the following: "What does the Lord require of you, but to do justice, and to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God?" As I look at this verse, initially I believe it's so simple, yet I do not see it happening. Why is that the case? I then decided that I was going to play a dangerous game, and the game that I chose to play is called What If? Before I tell you about the game and how I played it, I want to let you know that I played the game with my life verse, and I zeroed in on the word justice. What if your view and understanding of justice is different than my view? I also chose justice because it's in our baptismal promises. Do you remember the promise? And strive for justice and peace in all of the earth. I think that this is what is happening in our political landscape and what is happening in our church pews today. We all are striving for the same goal. However, we are at odds with one another on how we are going to achieve it. Since we are in Wisconsin, I wanted to make sure that I was correct. When Wisconsinites go to the poll, we will have 8 candidates to choose from for the President of the United States. If you are so daring, I want you to pick a heated policy in government and then read what all 8 presidential candidates have to say about the proper role of government is on that specific topic. Most likely, you're going to find that each individual has a different view on how to tackle the issue. If you want to stay out of the political realm, and do I ever understand that, then take a look at our church. The council is hosting listening session. The goal is to listen to you as a church. They have been and will continue to be a great asset to us as a church, but even without the sessions, we can know that within the congregation, there will be different views on the day that we should have worship, the time that we should have worship, the style of worship music, what the format of the worship will be, and does that even begin to touch the tough questions on what our top 3 priorities for 2025 should be. The majority, maybe all of us, would probably agree that we want to not only survive, but we want to thrive. However, we may have different views on what a thriving church looks like and how we can get there. What if our fights were tempered with kindness? The Hebrew word for kindness is hesed. It appears over 250 times in the Hebrew Bible. The critical importance of the word is evident in how many times it appears. The word, though, is a complex word and has many nuances, and it is nearly impossible to capture the full meaning in one English word. The translators in the Bible have translated it with the following words: compassion, mercy, steadfast love, loyalty, and kindness. A beautiful word that encompasses us to have concern for another person. It shares that we must make a commitment to provide care and help to one another. A deeper meaning is for us to provide aid to someone who has no right to expect love from you. When we take a look at our faith, we see this being modeled by God. God has demonstrated this type of love to us. God has shown us compassion, kindness, help, mercy, loyalty, and steadfast love. Since we have experienced and received this love, God calls us to do the same. The life verse that I shared with you, in it, there is a word that we could blitz by: required. In the book, Micah tells us that the Lord requires hesed of us. Can I take this opportunity to challenge you as an individual, and then for me as pastor of Bayview to challenge us as a church? What would happen if you saw living and spreading hesed as part of your mission each day? It could be quite an experiment. Over the next 30 days, we wake up each day and we begin it in prayer. And that prayer was simply asking the following: God, as I move throughout the day, how might you use me to spread kindness, show mercy, and reflect compassion? What does hesed look like for us as a church when we look around and see the needs of those in our community and continue to hear stories of those in our nation that are hurting due to the hurricanes? What type of relief can we provide? I want to turn back where I began, we are in some troubled times. There is so much polarization and division that is happening. Sitting in our pews today, we have individuals with very different views on what should happen at the polls. As your pastor, I want to let you know that I truly believe Hesed is the critical answer. I also want you to know that it is okay to debate the issues. I think that when individuals or parties come together and they vigorously debate about the issues at hand, solutions can arise because we hear views that we might not have ever thought of beforehand. But here are a few cautions. Whether it be in the political realm or in the church realm, where do we go from here? 1. Compromise. Compromise has to be on the table. It can't just be our side. 2. We are meant to work together. And 3. This will only work if we do it through the lens of being just, kind, and humble. Friends, I truly believe that kindness can change things. It can help us make a shift. What a shift it would be. Could you imagine us moving away from hyper-polarization and moving to a healthy democracy? We may laugh and go, impossible. But I believe that true kindness is irresistible and can power the change. There are not many, but there have been examples of people crossing the aisles and showing kindness. Go look for them. Now, as a church, let us truly lean into the gospel message that we heard today. Take a moment and think about how you want to be treated as a human being, and then go out and do the same to your fellow humans. Jesus took the positive approach. Here are 2 views from the negative approach. 1. What do you yourself hate and do not do to anyone? 2. Do not do to another what you do not want done to you. Dear church family, as we depart from this holy space, let me remind you that no matter where you stand on issues, you are a child of God. Now go and love and show kindness. Peace be with you. Amen.